Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Save File Podcast, episode 10. I'm back from my fetch quest. Thank you guys for being very patient.
Where's the loot, Josh?
I'm about to bring it. Today with me is a man who couldn't sell so well, they call him the Wii U Amp.
Hey! What up? Oh.
We got a man who's so old school, they call him 2600 Charbel.
Hey, what's up?
And I'm the Game Boy, because I'm the only good one here. And today...
Hey, go fuck yourself, man. The 2600 was fucking lit.
Josh, by the end
today.
of this freaking episode, you'll be hearing Wii U, Wii U, Wii U, Wii U.
Oh my god, that was bad. All right, well today we have a special podcast today, as we're going to be speaking about monetization. A little bit later, we'll be going into critique and how to properly do it and how to properly, take critique. Butch.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap it up with a surprise topic. Charbel will come up with the top of his head. Charbel, you want?
Yeah, but I think first we should just be completely honest, right? So I find it funny that we've been doing this for 2 weeks now, just me and Ev. And Josh, within about an hour of you returning to this, I've noticed that my name, when we record to this, has changed to Big Mac. Because of what Ev said in one of the previous episodes.
Listen, my name is timed to Doki Doki Panic, so I don't want to hear nothing.
I've remained a Master Amp.
Oh, man.
It's not changing anytime soon.
From now to the end of time, you shall remain Master.
Yeah, boy.
But Charbel, do you want to
Alright.
kick us off? Because this is more of a serious topic.
Yeah. So time to get serious now. I've mentioned in previous episodes, right, where we've spoken about game releases and things like that, that I'm sure there was one time where I said word for word, these days there's more ways than any other you can release a game. Everywhere from, different platforms like mobile and VR, which wouldn't have been available, 10, 15 years ago to the general public, to, your traditional PC. And obviously, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo now is making a big push for indies. And I just find it funny that after all this, have you noticed that some, platforms still are just not progressing in my eyes? Think about it like this, yeah? PC is the oldest platform.
Yes,
when you think about it. Games have been on PC since PCs have been a thing. And you guys remember a while back where Valve came out and said that they would stop essentially policing games on Steam?
Yeah, no, I heard about that.
Man, look, I personally, it bugs me a lot that, the lack of quality control on Steam is just, at this point, it's abundantly clear, when you think about it.
They just
because it's
basically said they gave up.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, can you, imagine going to a restaurant, yeah? Where, obviously you guys know that, when food's cooked properly, you obviously as a chef, you taste, your sauces and things like that. Everything has to be perfect, especially when you go to, a really nice restaurant. Imagine if, the response was always just, fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, there is a point to it. PC, I believe, is the bar to entry is lower than it's ever been. It's the easiest platform to publish on.
Yeah, I honestly feel like Steam being the biggest, digital marketplace in the world for games, I understand it's a bit hard to sort of police the amount of releases they would, they'll be coming out on Steam.
Well, I guess that's what they're.
But at the same.
With their green light system.
But at the same time, I mean, what it was for.
Yeah.
But obviously, people found loopholes with that. I don't think we need to bring up the digital homicide case, do we?
No, not right now.
But it to me, it just bothers me, And then you look at mobile, where, if anything, saying you're releasing a game on mobile now is almost like, it's almost like a criticism in some people's eyes.
To be releasing something on mobile. As a criticism, that's a bit...
No, because I feel like these days, if you say, "Oh yeah, this game's on mobile, it's free," there's just negative connotations with it. You know what I mean?
That's
First-
yeah, that's true.
Like, if I was to go up to someone and be like, "Yeah, I've released my game, it's free on mobile," the first thing comes to most people's minds now is, "All right, let's see what sort of bullshit microtransactions are there."
Yeah, of course. Yeah, mobiles have become synonymous, like free mobile games especially, become synonymous with like, this game is basically just pretty graphics for a give me money system. Like,
Yeah.
I think the best quote I've heard, I don't know where I got it from, was it's like games built by accountants. It's like they're no concern for actually trying to build a product that's fun, engaging, or like anything interesting. It's just built around how much money can you extract from someone without
Yeah.
them being able to, without them catching on.
I mean, there's something to be said about a game that can do microtransactions well. Me and Ev talked last week about Fortnite. Not Fortnite, what am I saying? Warframe. Man, even when we're not talking about it, Fortnite still sneaks into the
It's got to
episode.
get in here somehow.
But,
It's haunting us forever.
no, the Warframe devs removing a microtransaction because one fan had used it so much and they realised that they had essentially built a slot machine into the game unintentionally.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, compare that to, insert game here that's had a microtransaction that's been labelled as predatory or bullshit or however you want to word it. And it's like, man, it's crazy to think that the former one is the exception and not the rule.
Yeah. It's concerning. It's majorly concerning of the direction that mobile and especially the games are going in with the ways to monetize it. I understand the need to monetize them, but I don't agree with the practices of it.
I feel like the majority of games, there are exceptions to this, but I feel like the majority of games are just getting so anti-consumer it's not even funny. Like, we live in Australia, and I'm sure I don't need to remind you two about how bad internet can be, especially you, Josh. But I remember one of the things that one of my mates brought up about Persona 5, which is a game that, he loved, was he goes, man, I put it in and I could play it immediately. And I'm like, man, this is like a step... It's like, that meme where it's like a step back in evolution?
Yeah.
Where they go, fuck, we have to go back. Yeah, it was like that. And I'm like, man, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, always calling back to the days of the PS2. But, I mean, I miss when all you had to worry about was just a small loading screen. That, like, if it took 30 seconds, you were like, fuck, man, this game takes forever. These days, you put a game in and it's like, alright, 6 GB patch on day one, let's go. I don't know, man. What do you guys
If you
reckon?
remember from that pitch I sent on, I think it was our other group chat, the Facebook group chat, about I think it was a GameSpot fucking article. It says, looking backwards is the wrong thing to do. Games are simply better now, which is so fucking
Yeah, you
wrong.
shared that in the group. Get with the times, old man.
It's like, yeah, get with the times, old man. Like, I'll just...
No, there's definitely. It's one of those things where if you don't look at history, like, you're not gonna learn.
No.
Games will regress, and it's getting bad now because, as Charbel said, there should never be a time where you put in a game and it works and you go, oh well, that's nice.
I mean, I've said it before, and it's the one rule I think that anything relating to technology. So this could be, new phones, new, hardware for PCs, anything. The one rule you should follow is this a step forward or a step backwards in any way? You know what I mean? And it's like, the fact that, I don't know if you guys remember, how big of a deal it was that the PS4 would let you play a game while it was downloading, before it had fully finished?
I don't remember it. I knew it would happen, but I didn't know it was too big of a thing.
Like, yeah, dude, I heard that being used as a selling point. About people talking about why one of the things the PS4 could do, so well was, you can play a game while it's downloading. Which, I mean, that's bullshit, because you start the game and then it says, please wait till the download's finished. But, it was like, that shouldn't be, a selling point shouldn't be you can deal with the situation you didn't have to
Thing is,
deal
you
with
could do that
before.
on the PS3. Well, maybe a later update, but it was a more repetitive process.
I remember on the PS3 you could play a game without downloading, but the thing was you just wouldn't be able to use online features. Which it's essentially the same on a PS4. If it's just a patch and the game's installed, you can play. You just can't play online.
Yeah, which is fine. For
I think
most
it's
people.
I think it's just because online games are a bit more prevalent now than they were on the previous
I think the only
generation.
case where you can download and play while playing on a PS3 is if you go on PSN and actually purchase something, and then go into downloads, and then select an option saying downloads. Like I don't know, it goes into like an internet section in your PS3, and that's where the download takes place, and then it'll be like a download file or install file on like download it on your PS3. It's a completely annoying process. Like it's nothing like what the PS4 does, but
That's like 4 steps too much.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, man, I don't know. But look, in all honesty, I think anyone who listened to our podcast without actually knowing us would just assume we fucking hated games at this point. But there are still some games that come out and, you know, genuinely surprise us, not only with the quality of, you know, how it is, but the fact that you don't have to deal with some stuff like that. Like Persona 5 did that. I don't think God of War had a massive patch. I think it was only like 100 meg or something. It was just some small stuff. You know, like it's good to see that that's still prevalent.
Yeah.
You know, like to me, one of my favorite developers is CD Projekt Red, just because of the stance that they've taken and how well they treated The Witcher 3.
It's just, I believe that partly it's just too easy to monetize something now. It's like, well, let's look at 10 years ago. Like, could you even believe the amount of monetization that could go into one product? Like, buying DLC was like becoming a thing, and even then it took people a while to get on that train. Like a lot of people.
Like, do you remember the horse armor fiasco?
Yeah, people fucking lost their minds because they were like, "Why am I paying money for a graphic?" And now people are saying,
Yeah.
"I'll only pay money if it's a graphic."
Yeah, like, oh, dude, it's cosmetic, and like that's now the way to defend loot boxes. Oh, dude, it's just cosmetic,
Consumer hypocrisy at its finest.
man.
No, it's not hypocrisy. It's a change of angle.
Actually, speaking of loot boxes, that reminds me. I mentioned this to Amph last week. I do want to get your take on this, Josh. The Australian government will officially be looking into loot boxes later on in the year.
Say goodbye to every game with loot boxes.
Oh,
They
man.
will put them away. They will put them on their shelf.
I mean, Australia hates video games. Let's be honest about it. They'll ban your game for anything here.
If they
And
figure
the
out
fact
what
that-
you're doing, Jesus.
yeah, it's over. But I want to ask you guys a simple question. Do you consider a loot box to be gambling?
Yes.
Under circumstances, yes.
Okay, so we are all on the same page because I honestly believe loot boxes are gambling.
I don't know.
Just because with gambling, look, let's be real about this. The definition is simply where you don't know what you're going to get at the end. That is the definition of a gamble.
I don't know what the whole arguments against it, but the only one I've really seen is like, oh, but you win every time. And I was like, well, that's not. You're not really, are you? Because you're not winning. You get it. Gamers can put in money over and over and over and over again just to try and get that thing, or would they prefer to, pay a little bit more money and just get the thing they want?
That's my point. Like, I think the counter argument to that would be, if I said to Josh, let's play heads or tails, and heads, I'll give you a car, tails, I'll buy you a frozen Coke, and it hits tails, it was still a gamble, and you're not going to be happy because you got a frozen Coke. It's because you lost the car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
No last to play again.
it's the same thing as me when there's a new Overwatch event and I don't get a skin, but I get the same spray 16 times.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah, you win.
Yeah, I'm a little annoyed.
Eventually, the value of what you get back hits zero. Like, if you have 16 of the same thing, if you put in money and then get that again, the value for the player is zero.
Like, I understand loot boxes. See, I think loot boxes can be done well, which is my only thing with it is if the stuff can be earned in game to buy loot boxes, that's one thing. But also, is the stuff to me the thing I don't like about Overwatch's loot box system is one simple thing, which is if there's a certain skin I want from, say, an event, I need to hope that I have the coins to buy it from the loot box. Otherwise, I don't get the skin I want. Where it's just like, I wish I could just say, I wish they just had a thing saying, alright, pay $4.99 and you can get this skin.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that Overwatch in particular had, like, I guess the integrity of when a skin was for, like, some sort of charity event, like the breast cancer one, but you could just outright buy it.
Yeah.
I like that. But I think that would be... The real thing is that doesn't drive the money home that loot boxes do. Another one is, like, the reason why there's in-game currency rather than just doing away with that and just making you buy it is because you'd buy it a lot less. Because it looks like real money. As soon as you disconnect it from real money, it's like, no, it's not real money, it's schmeckles, which costs real money.
Yeah. I remember there was a... you guys know I'm a huge basketball fan, and there's a series by Bleacher Report called Game of Zones, which is obviously a basketball parody of Game of Thrones.
Oh, yes.
And there's one episode, I think it's like the second last episode of this season, where they made fun of the 2K series.
Okay.
Where they talked about how 2K didn't really update the game properly and things like that. And one of the characters shows they're playing D&D, but they refer to the game as 1K, and they go, oh yeah, he's like, and I roll to dunk over this player, and he rolls an 18, and he goes, oh yeah, that's it. And he goes, no man, he goes, your rating is only 50, and he goes, what? It's like I won the bloody dunk contest, and he goes, fix your Ravens, man, they don't update the servers enough. Then one of the other players goes to buy a more accurate model of himself, and he goes, oh no, I can only give it to you for virtual coppers.
Oh,
and he goes, well, where do I get virtual coppers? He goes, you buy it with real coppers. And he pays like $100 to buy a jacket for his player.
Oh, that's for real, though. That's the...
Like, it's so accurate, but the fact is, it's funny just because it's true.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you look at it, it's very funny, and then it hurts a little.
Yeah, because I remember the latest 2K game. Okay, so this might shock you guys a bit, right? So, the main, I guess, bread and butter of 2K has been a mode called My Career, which is where you take a character you create, and, you know, you sort of guide him through his NBA career and things like that. Yeah. In recent years, you know, obviously it's expanded because it's become arguably the most popular mode in the game, and one of the things they added this year was not really a mode, but it was something called the Neighborhood, where it had like an open world hub that you could explore. It was great. I loved it. But some of the things it did were really shady. For example, if you wanted to get a haircut for your character, right? Obviously you had to pay VC for that, which is the game's in-game currency, which of course can be purchased with real money.
Of course.
But if, let's say you wanted to get a haircut, let's say Josh wanted to rock dreadlocks on his character, you couldn't see how it would look on your character until you paid VC for it.
Oh.
So if you bought it and you didn't like it, well, you're out of luck anyway.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, that's really shady. That's horrible.
Like, bear in mind, this year they still had issues with their servers, and one of the developers on the game put a tweet out, right? And he said, how would you feel if we use shooting percentages instead of the in-game shooting mechanics to judge whether you shoot right or not? So let's say you have a character with a really high 3-point rating. Even if you have... Because the way the mechanics work is you press square to shoot. I play on PS4. So you press square to shoot. And at the top of your jump, you would release it. And that would be the best time to shoot, right? So what they said was, how would you feel if we use shooting percentage? So if you had a character with, say, an 89 3-point rating, even if you released it at the end of the jump, which means that you should have missed horribly, because you had an 89 3-point rating, 89% of the time you should make that shot.
What?
Or that's the easiest way to explain it. So it's like, it had nothing to do with player skill, it was just like it would simulate it, in a sense.
Yeah.
And everyone went, so what would be the point of playing
You're
it
there
then?
to play a game of basketball, not Fire
At that
Emblem.
point, you're just making a management game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like it really annoyed people, and they were just to top it off. This was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. A YouTuber I follow, called Dom2K, great 2K YouTuber, I love his stuff, mentioned that a survey had gone around because by January 2K18's player base had dropped so much that they sent a survey around asking people why they stopped playing their game and how they feel they could improve it. Like, that is the level that it's gone
Jesus.
to, right? Because this is the best. Like, look, we've obviously said that there's a lot of issues with the way the video game industry is now, but one of the best things is that the fans and the people have more of a voice than ever. You know what I
No,
mean?
definitely.
Like, people don't stand for this sort of shit anymore. And it's funny because one of the best things to come out of it was EA, believe it or not, dropped the price of NBA Live the moment that survey got sent out, and people jumped to playing NBA Live. And it was almost like a protest just to show 2K, like, hey, if you don't fix your shit, when we won't hesitate to play your main competitor.
No, I'm just going to say that the whole haircut thing is not gambling because you get a haircut at the end of it.
Just for that, the next time I need a haircut, I'm just going to walk in and say, gimme whatever.
Just walk in and go haircut
Anything goes.
and pay for it.
Oh,
Which
man.
one? They're all named after David Bowie songs.
Is it wrong that I don't know a single one?
No, it's not wrong. It's just sad.
I guess I can't get a haircut anymore,
No
right?
haircuts. You gotta take that. I'll take the star, man.
I'll walk in. Give me welcome to the jungle. The guy just like points to the door. Get out.
I'll take under pressure. Ugh.
Go in with like the
Oh,
smallest
man.
haircut, then walk out with an afro, like GTA, like San Andreas style.
Yeah, they put the hair back
Oh
in.
my god, I love that. Actually, I wanna bring this up. Yeah, how do you guys feel about re-releases of like old PS2
I'm fine
games?
with it, to be honest.
I have no problem with it. They should not be at AAA price,
Mm.
but I have no problem with it.
No. Okay, how do you feel about PS4 games being re-released?
That's why though?
Yeah.
It's a current console.
All right, so it's not really a re-release, but I'll tell you what's happened. Right, Sony has launched their, I believe they're called PlayStation like Classics or something like that, where it's like the best the PS4 has to offer. So there's games like obviously Uncharted, Ratchet and Clank, and Bloodborne on there.
Yeah.
And they would sell for I think about $20 Australian. So essentially, it's them saying, "Come play our best games if you missed out on them." They're now like $20 in digital and retail, and I think they've even got like a new like red case as well. So here's the thing. I personally don't mind it because obviously these are older games, and yeah, now they're selling for like $20. So, I mean, who cares? If you missed out on them, go grab them, right? People have been cracking the shits about this. I can't understand why. Because people are saying shit like, wow, I already own this game, now it's discounted. Or they're saying stuff like, there's not a single game here worth the asking price.
Sony's been doing this for ages, though. Remember, like the platinum stuff, right?
Yeah, sort of, but it's like, I can't understand what people are mad at this time. It's like, are you mad because the games that are on sale are games you already own? Like, I mean, I don't think that's what they took into consideration when they made this.
I don't think I think that if you already own the game, then you're pretty much out of the consideration for that market. That the games are not meant for you anymore. You have them.
Yeah.
Man. Well, I don't know. I'm lost for words at this. It just seems like people wanting to be mad at something for nothing.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Now,
No, like
No, you
seriously,
go.
like game, like every single game or most games, prices go down no matter what. So, like, I don't see the problem at all. Like, if I bought a game that was like $60 yesterday, and the next day it's like $20 because of like a sale, then, well, I guess that's my fault.
to be fair, have you had
No.
that happen to you?
Yes.
Really, I've had that happen to me. Me and Josh have. Like, I remember I bought Just Cause 3 for like $25 or whatever, and then like 3 weeks later, it was the PSN Plus game.
Oh
I
wait,
was like,
actually,
shit.
yes, once.
I bought Rocket League and then it was free the next day.
Oh, you
I bought
poor bastard.
I can't remember what it was. It was on my 3DS. I got it on the eShop, and then by the time I checked the next day, the eShop had like some special sale, and it went down by like 20%, and I like died inside. Yeah, it happened to me.
Oh man. See, this is why I always wait for a sale, or as EB Games calls it, 5 minutes. Before I make any purchases.
Oh god, EB Games is always having their biggest sale ever.
Okay, I gotta ask, have you guys done the traditional comedy thing of walking into an EB Games and asking
Yep.
if they have a sale on?
Gave me the dirtiest
Yes,
look.
because I was with you at the time. I was
Huh?
with you at the time.
You did it?
Yeah,
When? I don't remember that.
it was we were at college one day and it was like the first time we went to Broadway and it was like that huge sale where like the red was fucking
This was
everywhere.
around June, wasn't it?
Like, yeah, they had like the banners everywhere. You remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, like it was so much that like it was falling everywhere at the front of the store.
I remember I did that once, and I think the guy must have thought, like, I was being serious. Because what had happened was I was with some mates in North Sydney, and we walked into an EV Games, and I mean, like, the place was coated in red. As in, inside, the entire roof had sale signs on it. You know what I mean? Like, I was that, like, I said to him, I was like, oh, I gotta do this. I walked up and I go, hey, are you having this sale? And he looked up and he went, nah, man, sorry. I don't know where you got that idea. I'm like, sorry, man, whatever. And I walked out, and the guy just, like, looked at me, and I think he thought I was being legitimate
Yeah,
about
I think
it.
I did something not similar. I said it to the counter person, and I like walked in to pick up my pre-order of Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux, and I strutted in and went up to the counter and said, yeah, I'm here to pick up my pre-order. And as soon as I got my cutout, I was like looking up, looking down, looking left, looking right, and then I looked at the counter guy and said, looks like you're having a sale. And then he just gave me straight daggers.
Yeah, that you were like 12 seconds away from being choked.
Yeah,
to
and he was
death.
like, you were the 17th person who said that to me. And I'm just like, I've got the 18th right next to me.
yeah, welcome to sales. Don't go into that business if you can't handle the same thing being said to you over and over again.
Oh my god, no, it's like when you work in retail and like you try to find the price for something and then you get hit with the, oh, it must be free.
Oh, you're so funny. You don't know how shops work.
Yeah, you'll deal with the same
Man.
questions and the same songs.
If you take that out, I'll kill you, I swear to God.
Actually, quick question. Have any of you ever bought something free from a store?
How do you... What?
Have you ever bought something that was
How do you-
free? Because I've got a story for this.
I've
Have you
never
bought
bought
something that was free?
free.
Hey, yeah, how do you buy something that's free?
Alright, so let me explain. Do you remember the game that released last year, Agents
Yeah.
of Mayhem?
Yes.
Well, at JB Hi-Fi, if you pre-ordered it, it came with a little Johnny Gat figure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, I was a fan of the Saints Row series one time, unfortunately. And I actually had pre-ordered that game. Mainly for the little figure, because it was like fucking sick and it was free with the pre-order. Now, here's the thing. Fast forward to like earlier this year, and I noticed that JB Hi-Fi in my area still had like a bunch of these figures that they hadn't sold.
Yeah.
I pick one up and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, it's got no price on it. And they never sold them separately because I remember the pre-order poster saying specifically not sold separately.
Yeah.
So I speak to the guy at the counter and I go to him, hey, how much are these? Like, I was hoping to get one from my brother-in-law who also was a fan of the series. And Johnny Gat is like mine and his favourite character from the series. Does a price check and he goes, it's coming up with $0.00, mate. He goes, let me just check with my manager and I'll see what's going on. And I shit you not. He goes back to his manager, comes back to me and he goes, so here's the thing. He goes, if you buy anything, he goes, I can just give you this for free. And he goes, he brings out some like, I don't know if they were like trading cards or stickers or some shit, but they were like 10 cents. So I bought those and I got the Johnny Gat figure for free.
Why don't you just walk out with the
The
Johnny Gat figure?
If it's
I It's like, you know how if you walk out with something and you haven't paid for it, they'll just obviously make you pay for it? What would they have done if I walked out with
Yeah,
that
that's my thing.
with
It's
the
like when
figure
you're looking
alone?
at, oh, so how much were the stolen items worth? Oh, nothing. They were free.
That would suck. Imagine, like, being arrested for theft and it's because you were stealing free shit.
Oh god. Well, that's kind of sad. Caught stealing free food.
Oh my god. But then again, I'm Middle Eastern. I'm the sort of person that'll ask if water is free at a restaurant and then say, yeah, we'll split it. Oh man. But yeah. So that is how I bought something that was free once.
Oh, that's
Now,
that's so silly.
Josh, I believe you had a topic, something about can you judge something if you don't do it or something
So,
like
a good friend, Butch Hartman, creator of Danny Phantom, apparently said that you can't criticize him because you haven't made a TV show. So, here's my critique. Are you allowed to criticize something if you haven't partaken in making something? The answer
Yes.
is
Indeed.
Of
Why
course
is
you
that a
fucking
question?
can.
Indeed, like, come on. Like, you go into a restaurant, you eat food, and then if it's shit, then well, it's shit. You can't do anything about it.
And critique rhymes with weak.
I mean,
friend.
it depends on how the chef want to take. If the chef wants to take it or not. Like, you can be like, yeah, I want another meal. He'll probably piss in it, but you know.
Well,
Now, I know we shouldn't be doing this because we paid a lot of money to get this training, but as game devs, we should probably talk about how to take critique properly.
Step number.
you said that with such hesitation, it's not even
Yeah.
funny. But
Step
I'm laughing
number one.
anyway.
Step number one, fucking, is being able to, like... I guess growth
Okay.
thick skin is the first thing you have to do. Because anything you make is going to get
Yeah.
torn to fucking shreds.
Look, I mean, well, first thing you have to do is accept that nothing you make is ever going to be perfect. But if you can't take criticism, don't worry about being the game dev. I just don't think life in general may be easy for you because it's just like how are you gonna do any job if you can't take
Yeah,
criticism?
things are going to be difficult if you can't take it.
Like I mean, put it this way: have either of you ever been at Macca's or Hungry Jack's and gotten the wrong order?
Yes.
Now imagine if you went back to the cashier and they couldn't take criticism.
Yeah, they.
It's like, oh, I think my order's wrong. No, sir, you're
I'll tell you
wrong.
what-
No, you
alright.
ordered this.
I have a
Like,
story
well, you
about
didn't
that
order
though, something that's kind of both bad and good. I went
Oh,
up to get
God.
one of those $10 I think it was 3-piece meal of those tenders, the original tenders. So I got that, and I found out that I had a fucking chicken wing in there, and I'm just going, that's not my order. So I went back and said, the fuck's my tenders? Oh, I didn't say the fuck's my tenders, but
And coming out wrong, coming out firing.
Damn, man! Like,
no, I
calm
said,
it down.
but you've mistaked my order for the original piece, not the original tenders. But I want boneless chicken, not boned chicken. And he's going, oh yeah, sure, we can do that. And he comes back and gives me at least another fucking original boned chicken, and I'm going.
Right, that's his way of telling you to go fuck yourself,
Yeah,
essentially.
pretty much. Excuse me, sir. Could you go fuck yourself?
Oh.
You aren't gonna.
Oh,
And then
my
I
God.
got, I think, free fucking a large popcorn chicken like box, and I like, it normally comes with like a small one. No, but they gave me like some freaking large one, and I'm going, okay, I'm happy now. It's not my order, but I'll just give up. And I heard this behind my back, and my friends were confirming me, and they said yes, I heard it as well. They said fucking have a whinge, why don't you? And I'm
I mean, get the order right. You're not paid to fuck up
Yeah.
people's orders. You're
It's
paid
not.
to make
It's not
them.
difficult. It's easy to fuck it up, but don't be a dickhead if you do.
And I have another story
Yeah.
as well. Sorry if I'm hogging the stories. This
Oh, man.
happens
Here we go.
strictly today, and it's not exactly my story. I'm telling a story of a story. So
Yes.
my granddad today went with my grandmother to the local club, and they had lunch, and
Yeah.
he ordered stir fry, and what he got was not stir fry. It was chicken stew on top of rice. So essentially, the chicken was dry, the vegetables weren't crunchy, they were soggy, like it was full of like it was drowned in peanut butter, and the rice was what I think it was a day old apparently.
Oh my god.
And I think he went off his tree. That's what he was telling me. And he, as soon as he got home, I actually had to like assist him with the whole complaint thing. And I was going, well, I could give him a bigger complaint, just not formal. But he gave a formal complaint because he's a regular goer to the club. But I was about to throw in some, get the raw, like, cook better next time. But geez, but no, seriously, like,
But jeez, but
Is that what you did to KFC? Is that why they gave you bone chicken
Yeah.
twice?
no, but no, seriously, my granddad like actually through the I was I was a chef back in the army. Like I'm a retired chef, and if my boys did this, or boys or girls, he didn't exactly. Sorry, he said if people in my kitchen did this, I would have fired them straight away.
okay, I'm gonna tell you this. I honestly thought that you were the retired army chef, and I got really confused. I got real confused there. Like my brain lapsed context for a minute. I was like,
Oh,
Ev was like a
I was
retired
gonna-
army chef. I was like, hold on, hold on. A minute.
Took you a second. You're like, hang on, man, that's crazy, man. You must be the greatest multitasker in the world. You defended our country and studied with us full time.
Yeah, I know that's crazy. Amp, you look good for like 40.
I'm a clone.
I'm a clone. It's a good reaction. But we probably should like
But the-
come
but
back
the-
to topic here.
But the point is, like, with the game industry, as with any industry, you need to learn how to be professional about things and take criticism. I think, like, a part of that is people aren't going to understand what you do unless they sort of do the same thing. You know what I mean? It's the same with, like, if I was to talk to, say, a builder about building a house, obviously they're going to know a lot more than me. And if I want something that can't be done, they're going to sit there and say, well, no, because this, and this. But they're probably not going to be like, go fuck yourself, I'll build you what I want. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be able to take that criticism.
Step number 2. Alright. Step number 2 is control your freaking temper and get your stick out of your ass.
This coming from the person who responded with, where's my fucking boneless
My
chicken?
fucking boneless chicken. No, it's one of those things of criticism is the best thing to improve yourself. If you want to improve at something, taking criticism well is like the number one way to really get better at something, especially rapidly.
I mean, the good thing about games is when you look on Steam reviews, you don't know who's saying that, meaning they're going to be as brutally honest as possible. They don't give a fuck about your feelings.
But you
For
kind of
example.
want that. You kind of want that disconnect just so they do tell you the truth.
That's my point. Like, would you not want to know how to be better at what you do? Like, I understand if you get a bit of criticism that makes no sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've got a game-related story, right? And this is one that me, Ev, and you will remember very vividly when I start saying this. We had an assignment, okay, back when we were in college,
I know this story. I know where this is going.
to build a prototype for a game,
God.
right? All we had to do was prototype an economy, and an economy in a game sense is sort of anything where trading's involved. That's the easiest way to explain it. I had built a racing game, and the way I prototyped it was I mapped out a racetrack called Laguna Seca, which is a real track, got a car, and set a time around it. Now, I had allowed people to upgrade their car, gave them a certain amount of like tokens to upgrade their car with, and the way I saw it was, well, I mean, I played racing games growing up, and you'd be able to look at a track and know where your car was going to struggle depending on how you upgraded it. Obviously, if you've dumped everything into speed, it's probably not going to help you when you get to a corner
who
and
the
you can't
fuck
hit
did
that top speed.
Just
F did that. And then to top it off, right, because the thing would be simulated, based on what the upgrades were, and that's how you would get the time of your lap. Amph said to me, he goes, you know what, man, you should tell me what, like, I should, how fast and, what I should have upgraded to go around these corners with. And I remember,
That was the only feedback you got.
That was the only feedback I got from him. Everyone else that had tested it was like, wow, man, this is actually really cool.
Me,
Actually, we
the
had
classmates, the teachers, no one had anything for
Yeah.
you.
Everyone, bro, I don't know if you remember, people were competing to get around my track. Like, I don't know how the hell that ended up happening. It was funny to watch. So I'm like, alright, well, the only sort of feedback I can take is amps and do something with it. So I did that. And then when it came to being assessed, the only, I remember one of our teachers, Krista, saying, yeah, man, the only thing I would change is you shouldn't have sort of given me tips on what to upgrade. You should have just let me, work with it,
And
experiment
you lost
myself.
your
You
shit.
gave me those daggers.
I didn't.
You just tried to...
I just gave Ev. I'm like nodding. I'm like, yeah, and I'm like looking directly at Ev, and Ev just like looked at me, and then like put his headphones on and turned away.
No, I remember this because all I remember is Krista telling you that, and you just turned next to you like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
I'm so sorry. I went full dark side feel in your game.
Oh my god. But no, like you take the thing is, I could have said to you, no, go fuck yourself. I know that my game doesn't need your advice, but I'm a nice guy, I think. But more importantly, it's like you need to be able to take criticism. Obviously, look, I disagreed, and I told you at the time as well. I disagreed with what you say, and you fully admitted you're like, yeah, dude, I don't play racing games, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But it's like you need to just sort of be like, okay, this person doesn't know the sort of thought process I expect. How can I better communicate that in my game? Rather than turning to a guy and being like, you know what, go fuck yourself, man. You're wrong.
What that indicated is you needed a better tutorial, is when that is. Like, oh, you should have given me like tips and tricks and so I know the numbers. I was like, alright, should I do that or should I just give him more clear information of what each upgrade does? Yeah. But that's like...
And then I remember he threw everything into speed anyway, so he couldn't take a fucking corner
so
without spinning out.
You kind of got to let them fuck up at that point.
Which he did. I mean, he didn't even beat the target time.
Last.
I think the funniest was I remember one of our classmates comes up and he went, who the fuck was like 20 seconds behind the target time? I go, F, because his car couldn't fucking corner. You were like the only one who couldn't beat it.
I did it the second time round.
Oh man.
Okay, yeah.
But it's
that's
just like...
definitely like...
criti-
that's definitely a way to take criticism is you have to take it, but then you have to unpack what it means. Like, you can't just... Don't try and adjust things for everyone, because you're not going to make a product for anyone at that point. And you got to water it down.
But one thing I think one thing everyone really took away from our course is how important iteration is. I mean, you should have taken a lot of things away, but constantly, I guess, evolving your idea and iterating based on feedback is such an important thing for game development. And it's one of the main reasons game development can take so long, because you're sitting there going like, is this as good as it possibly can be? And it's different when you're trying to meet a strict deadline and you're, 1 out of 300 people employed at a studio, as opposed to like you're working on a little assignment for, yourself, or you're a solo dev and you're just trying to push your, your own side game out. But it's like, whatever it is, you need to, understand that you need to know who you're making that game for, and you need to be able to take criticism. Because people will judge you, and they will judge your product. That's just how it is.
And a good thing to learn too, just in general in life, is the difference between criticism and like just hurling abuse. Because there's a difference. There is a difference. And I want to make that very clear, is there's a difference between your game is shit and I hate this about your game. Like, I know both of them sound very harsh, but one of them is an actual complaint and the other one doesn't give you any information. You're allowed to dismiss the ones if they're not giving you any information.
Yeah, that's called flaming.
Oh, absolutely.
criticism.
Absolutely.
Yeah, If someone plays your game and goes, well, that was fucking shit, and then walks away, dismiss them, because they didn't give you fucking anything. Dismiss what they say. Look, definitely pay attention to how they were playing it, because that'll tell you a lot. But if someone doesn't give you the verbal, if someone's not giving you the verbal feedback that you need, like, dismiss it. Unless if someone's like throwing abuse in and then they have legitimate points as well, just cut out the abuse bit. Like you have to be grown up enough to like be able to go and be able to step back and go, all right, this is an idea. This isn't. I'm not married to it. This isn't like my little baby. It's allowed to change. It's one of the biggest things you should learn when you're making anything, because if you're married to something so much that you're too afraid to let people see it or to let it change in any way, you're not going to make it. It's just not going to happen.
Like it just sort of goes back to what we've, I guess, been taught, in our time making games, which is like, just always try to make the best product possible, and think about everything that's being said about your product. Someone says I love it, figure out why. If someone says they hate it, figure out why.
I should say that too while we're here, because you brought up a good point. If someone says, oh man, your game's great, and then nothing else, that's just as useless.
That's just basic praise.
Yes, but sure, they had a good time, at least they say they did, but if they don't give you any examples of what they like, then you have no idea what you're doing right.
Like, to be honest, I mean, as great as it's going to be to hear, oh wow, your game's great, thanks for giving me a chance to play it, it is worth figuring out why people thought your game was great. You want to make sure that the way I've sort of learned of doing things is just figure out what you're doing right and then try to consistently emulate that feeling. Like I've noticed it in games I play. For example, one game I absolutely loved playing was, I don't know if you guys remember Burnout 3, yeah? But one thing Burnout 3 did great was they realised, like, okay, well, in 1 and 2 we had a great feeling of speed. Let's see, what else can we add? I know, let's just see what happens if we put in a mode where your goal is to just take as many people off the road as possible. And people loved it. They loved Road Rage, they loved Crash Mode, you know what I mean? And you see it in so many great games. People remember, for example, the helicopter chapter from Uncharted 2, where a helicopter's chasing Nathan around Nepal, and it's crazy that people remember that because it was such a great scene. But there's a reason for that. It's because it kept the intensity so high for so long, and it's just one of the great moments in that series.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, definitely. It's one of those. Everything is experimentation, and if you're going to make something, test as early as you can with everyone that you can, because you suck at testing your own thing, no matter what it is. No matter what it is, you suck because you think it's good no matter what because you're making it.
You're either dismissing it or praising it non-stop.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to hear that your product sucks. Like everyone starts somewhere, and every idea starts from nothing.
Like if someone says to you about your product that like it sucks and it shouldn't exist, that doesn't give you any reason to stop.
Yeah, like look, let's put it this way. I remember once talking to a mate of mine who loved. You guys remember Homefront: The Revolution? Yeah, he thought the game was unfairly criticized because the game went through development hell. And I was talking
about this.
And one of my other mates had said, well, you know what? Every game goes through development hell, which is so true. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, whether you're trying to make something on your own in your bedroom or, like I said, you're one of 300 people in a studio, every game is going to go through development hell, regardless of who you are.
Yeah, no, development, it's difficult. It's hard.
If it was easy, anyone would be able to come out and make a game that should be Game of the Year, but they don't. And it's funny because a lot of the smaller games, when you think about it, the people making it didn't expect it to have the success that it did. Look at Flappy Bird.
Yeah, that dude had no fucking idea what he was getting himself into.
Yeah, and I mean, it turned out to be one of the most successful mobile games ever made. I think in its prime, it was making, what was it, like 50 grand a
Yeah,
day?
it was something. It was grossing a lot of money at one point. And then it got deleted off the App Store, and then phones with it installed went on for like 10 grand.
Yeah, I remember I tried to capitalize on that. Didn't work.
It didn't work. I didn't say I didn't say that they sold, but I said like people tried. That's how much people.
Actually, no,
valued it.
a few of them did. A few of them did. I mean, I'd hate to be the person who paid 90 grand for an iPhone 5 with Flappy Bird.
Okay, I'm just going to be honest. People out there, if you want to play Flappy Bird, go into Game Maker and make it. We did it in under like 2 hours at college. Following a tutorial.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's crazy. But it's like, sometimes success happens by accident. When I said earlier that people ended up competing with the little prototype I made, that wasn't something I intentionally did. It was just, my prototype worked, and it all started because one of our classmates looked and said, "Who the hell got that time?" And I said it was Josh. They were like, "Alright, I'm going to beat him."
I had the highest score for about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think it was Miles that might have been you. And it was like, that just happens, you know what I mean? It just something just clicks in people's brains, and they're like, "Oh wow, that's crazy."
People...
The moment that happened, I was like, I guess this game's competitive now.
I've also had
just
people
happens.
competitive over Galaxy Horizon too.
Yeah, every game with a scoring system, I found people
man.
immediately are like, I have to be the best at this. One of the things I'm just going to say, and this is the last thing I'll probably say on this, is just the worst thing you can do is dismiss all criticism with what seem like good answers. Like, the one that we were given the most is like, oh yeah, but that person's not part of my core audience. And
that's a great one.
Because on the surface, it seems like a good and valid reason to not take into fully account a piece of criticism, doesn't it? Like, that's not part of your core audience. Well, then, of course, maybe their criticisms don't really line up with the values of the core audience that you're trying to seek. But the thing is, you can do that with anyone who disagrees with you. So you've got to be careful. You've got to monitor yourself and figure out, it's like, okay, am I doing this to myself?
Yeah. Just sort of be like, am I using this as a reason not to listen to this person? You know what I mean? And if the answer is yes, then, that's something you really need to know that you're doing. And something you have to avoid doing.
And remember, like, this is difficult on every level. Even AAA companies hire thousands of interns to bloody do this. Because it's difficult.
Oh, yeah.
It's difficult to take criticism and mark it down. It's even more difficult to give criticism that's useful. Like, it takes a lot of testing for a reason. It's because you need such a sample size to try and figure it out. Not everyone's going to be able to express exactly what they feel.
Okay, now, Fortnite.
And this has been the Save File Podcast. Today with me has been Big
kidding.
Mac.
Hey, what's up?
And of course, Master Ant.
Hey, what up?
And it is time to Doki Doki Panic, and we'll see you guys next time. Signing off.
Signing off.
Signing off. You better have a photo of your name in there.
Oh, I will.
Oh, man. Yeah. Take care, boys.